Alright, welcome to another video on ChatGPT Prompt Engineer for developers, specifically looking at the transforming. So Andrew and G mentioned that large language models are very good at processing and at transforming its input into a different format. So I asked ChatGPT about what different formats can you process. That what give me provide me a list of formats that you can process. Okay, so plain text, conversational text, documents like essay, report, articles, programming language, Python, JavaScript, HTML, Markdown, JSON. It is funny because it doesn't label as a programming language. HTML it's not a programming language. So HTML, Markdown, JSON, XML, CSV, TSV, LaTeX, speech transcript, interesting, speech transcript, chat logs, email threads, social media posts and comments, specific notation and formula, bibliographic citations, APA, ML, technical specification and requirement, legal document and contract, medical records, non-sensitive information, financial statements and reports. I wouldn't give financial statement or any sensitive data to the ChatGPT, but in any case, poetry and creative writing, new articles, product description and review, user manuals and instructions. If you need a specific action or functionality related to this format, such as rendering HTML or executing code, you may need to use dedicated tool or libraries designed for those purposes. But this is all the different text or different inputs it can process. Okay. Yeah, the different inputs it can process. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, for example, for social media posts and comments, yes, that can be something good. But at the end of the day, you need to also look at the different comments to see if actually the LLM is labeled them properly. According to that, for example, if you want to create a sentiment counter based on user reviews, well, you can now is provide things like that. Okay, so this is email threads, social media posts and comments, scientific notation. So this is all of the things that it can do, right? Legal document and contracts, medical records, financial statement and reports, poetry and creative writing, news article, product description and review, user manuals, and instructions. So, yeah, so ChatGPT, or particularly LLMs, large language models, are very good at transforming input into different formats. Okay, so whether it's a language or plain text, conversational text, or any other format like JSON, HTML. So yeah, right. So I saw full formation that she used ChatGPT to pretty much proofread everything she writes. And when you talk about proofread or proofreading is in Spanish corrección de texto. Proofreading. Okay. So proofreading in Spanish is corrección de texto. So okay, let's go to keep looking at this section.
Large language models are very good at transforming its input to a different format, such as inputting a piece of text in one language and transforming it or translating it to a different language, or helping with spelling and grammar corrections. So taking as input a piece of text that may not be fully grammatical and helping you to fix that up a bit, or even transforming formats, such as inputting HTML and outputting JSON. So there's a bunch of applications that I used to write somewhat painfully with a bunch of regular expressions that would definitely be much more simply implemented now with a large language model and a few prompts.
Yeah, I use ChatGPT to proofread pretty much everything I write these days, so I'm excited to show you some more examples in the notebook now. So first we'll import OpenAI and also use the same getCompletion helper function that we've been using throughout the videos. And the first thing we'll do is a translation task. So large language models are trained on a lot of text from kind of many sources, a lot of which is the internet, and this is kind of course, in many different languages. So this kind of imbues the model with the ability to do translation. And these models know kind of hundreds of languages to varying degrees of proficiency. And so we'll go through some examples of how to use this capability. So let's start off with something simple. So in this first example, the prompt is, translate the following English text to Spanish. Hi, I would like to order a blender. And the response is, hola, me gustaría ordenar una licuadora. And I'm very sorry to all of you Spanish speakers. I never learned Spanish, unfortunately, as you can definitely tell. Okay, let's try another example. So in this example, the prompt is, tell me what language this is. And then this is in French.
Okay.
Combien coûte le lampadaire?
Translate.
So let's run this.
Let me make a pause here because I actually changed this. Translate the following English text to Spanish here. Okay. And then they'll indicate, oh my fucking god. Yeah. And they indicate again using delimiters, triple backticks, like, hi, I would like to order a blender. Okay, so we use or I use here different identifiers to clearly identify different part of inputs like this. Okay, so now press I didn't set that up. Okay, yes, I get completion. It's like this function has not been loaded. Okay, let's going to run that again. Run the basic setup. And it's this. So, hola, me gustaría ordenar una licuadora. Pretty easy, pretty easy. Okay. Okay, so translate the following English text to Spanish. And here you say, well, tell me which language is this. Combien coûte le lampadaire? Combien coûte le lampadaire? All right, so tell me which language is this. So this is French.
And
So for example, you can is for translation. Let me write down here is the prompts keyword or topics, right? Like translate. Okay. Language identity or this say. So language identifier identification. This is another example here. Translate language identification,
The model has
which
identified
is
that this is
this.
French. The model can also do multiple translations at once. So in this example, let's say, translate the following text to French and Spanish.
And translates now the following text to Spanish in both the formal and informal forms. Okay. Formal or informal forms. All right. Meaning, so when you address to a senior or your superior, but I don't think they talk about superior here.
That's when you use the formal tone, and then informal Spanish, but my dad does, and he says that this is correct. So for the next example, we're going to pretend that we're in charge of a multinational e-commerce company. And so the user messages are going to be in all different languages. And so users are going to be telling us about their IT issues in a wide variety of languages. So we need a universal translator.
Okay, wait a single moment.
This is correct. So formal is when to order a pillow. And also notice here, we're using a different delimiter than these backticks. It doesn't really matter as long as it's kind of a clear separation. So here we have the formal and informal. So formal is when you're speaking to someone who's maybe senior to you or you're in a professional situation. That's when you use the formal tone, and then informal.
When you're in a professional situation, or so when you address to a senior or in a professional manner. So this is formal. When you formal when you address to a senior or in a professional manner,
is when you're speaking to maybe a group of friends. I don't actually speak Spanish, but my dad.
Wait, what? Oh my god. It crashed. Wow. That was nasty. Okay. It was very, very nasty. Would you recover it, man? No. Okay, what the hell? That was nasty. That was nasty. Okay. Okay. In any way. So let's open here again the course. That's right. Please do. Transforming. Moving on.
We will loop through to order a pillow. And also notice here, we're using informal is languages. And so users are going to be telling us about their IT issues in a wide variety of languages. So we need a universal translator. So first, we'll just paste in a list of user messages in a variety of different languages.
Okay, this is the second universal translator. Is a translation. Universal translator. Imagine you are in charge of an IT, a large multinational e-commerce company. Users are messaging you with IT issues in all their native language. Your staff is from all over the world and speak only native language. You need a universal translator.
And now we will loop through.
Okay, you're receiving is all of this user review from different language, right? And you are in charge of an IT of a large multinational e-commerce.
Each of these user messages. So for issue in user messages. And then I'm going to copy over this slightly longer code block. And so the first thing we'll do is ask the model to tell us what language the issue is in. So here's the prompt. Then we'll print out the original message's language and the issue. And then we'll ask the model to translate it into English and Korean. So let's run this. So the original message in French. So we have a variety of languages, and then the model translates them into English and then Korean. And you can kind of see here, so the model says, this is French. So that's because the response from this prompt is going to be, this is French. You could try editing this prompt to say something like, tell me what language this is, respond with only one word, or don't use a sentence, that kind of thing, if you wanted this to just be one word. Or you could ask for it in a JSON format or something like that, which would probably encourage it to not use a whole sentence. And so
Exactly, you can indicate here, it's like, tell me what language this is, using one word. French, Spanish, Italian, Polish, Chinese, Norse. Exactly, to be very specific about it. No punctuation signs. Tell me what language is in one word. Tell me what language is in one word. Rate limit error. Yeah, rate limit error, man. Tone and transformation. So translation, universal translator, and then tone transformation and format conversion. Format conversion. Spell check, grammar, and check. And this. Yeah, rate limit error. So tone transformation, which is another that is using here. Tone transformation. Translate, language identification, format or informal forms, tone transformation, format conversion, format conversion, and spell check, grammar check. And spell check and grammar check for this.
You've just built a universal translator, and also feel free to pause the video and add kind of any other languages you want to try here, maybe languages you speak yourself, and see how the model does. So the next thing we're going to dive into is tone transformation. Writing can vary based on an intended audience.
The
The way that I would
transformation.
write an email to a colleague or a professor is obviously going to be quite different to the way I text my younger
So writing
brother.
can vary
And
based
so
on the
ChatGPT
intended
can actually
audience.
also help produce different tones. So let's look at some examples. So in this first example, the prompt is, translate the following from slang to a business letter. Dude, this is Joe. Check out this spec on the standing lamp. So let's execute this. And as you can see, we have a much more formal business letter with a proposal for a standing lamp specification. The next thing that we're going to do is to convert between different formats. ChatGPT is very good at translating between different formats, such as JSON to HTML, XML, all kinds of things, Markdown. And so in the prompt, we'll describe both the input and the output formats. So here is an example. So we have this JSON that contains
where it
a list of
transformed
restaurant
this
employees
format
with their
conversion
name
from
and
one,
email.
so from
And
JSON
then
to
in the prompt,
HTML.
we're going to and emails to HTML table. The next transformation task we're going to do is spell check and grammar checking. And this is a really kind of
Spelling
popular
and grammar
use
checking.
for ChatGPT. I highly recommend doing this. I do this all the time. And it's especially useful when you're working in a non-native language. And so here are some examples of some common grammar and spelling problems.
So this is spell check, grammar check. So spell check and grammar check. Are great to proofread your text. Are great to proofread your text, right? This is our great to proofread your text. So for example, spelling, this last one. Okay. Spell check, spell check and grammar. Spell check and grammar check are great to proofread your text. So they are great to proofread your text.
Marico, yo como me habías dicho que no, yo me bajé también pues, porque no quería ir solo. Nada más conozco una jeva, entonces nada. le tiró una bomba de humo. Entonces ahí vamos a darle mañana, mañana sí va a estar bueno.
Okay. So this is a spell check and grammar check. So this transforming, so spell check and grammar checks are great to proofread your text, especially.
And so I do this all the kind of popular use for ChatGPT. I highly recommend doing this. I do this all the time. And it's especially useful when you're working in a non-native language. And so
Exactly. So especially when you are walking into when you're walking into a non-native language.
here are some examples of some common grammar and spelling problems and how the language model
Mhm.
can help address these. So I'm going to paste in a list of sentences that have some grammatical or spelling errors. And then we're going to loop through each of these sentences. And
So when you're walking through
ask the model to
when you're
proofread
walking
these.
through a non-native language,
Proofread
this is
and correct.
good.
And then we'll use
This is a great use for
images.
that. So to proofread, exactly. So to proofread your text.
And then we will get the response and print it as usual.
The girl with the black and white puppy has a ball. Ah, the girl with the black and white puppy has a ball. There is no error in this sentence. Yolanda has her notebook. It is going to be a long day. It is going to be a long day. Does the car need it is oil? Yeah, does the car need it is oil change? There goes my freedom. There goes my freedom. They're going to bring their suitcase. There goes my freedom. There goes. No, there goes. To proofread. There goes my freedom. And they're going to bring their suitcase. You're going to need your notebook. You're going to need your notebook. That medicine affect my ability to sleep. Have you heard of the butterfly effect? This phrase is to check ChatGPT for spelling ability.
And so the model is able to correct all of these grammatical errors. We could use some of the techniques that we've discussed before. So we could, to improve the prompt, we could say proofread and correct the following text. And rewrite, and rewrite the whole, and rewrite it, corrected version.
And rewrite
If
the
you
corrected
don't
version.
find any errors, just say No errors
No
found.
errors found.
Let's try this.
The girl with the black
So
and
this
white
way we
puppet
were
has a ball. No error found. It's going to be a long day.
able to, oh, they're still using quotes here. But you can imagine you'd be able to find a way with a little bit of iterative prompt development to kind of find a prompt that works more reliably every single time. And so now we'll do another example. It's always useful to check your text before you post it in a public forum. And so we'll go through an example of checking a review. And so here is a review about a stuffed panda. And so we're going to ask the model to proofread and correct the review. Great, so we have this corrected version. And one cool thing we can do is find the kind of differences between our original review and the model's output. So we're going to use this redlines Python package to do this, and we're going to get the diff between the original text of our review and the model output, and then display this. And so here you can see the diff between the original review and the model output and the kind of things that have been corrected. So the prompt that we used was proofread and correct this review, but you can also make kind of more dramatic changes to tone and that kind of thing. So let's try one more thing. So in this prompt, we're going to ask the model to proofread and correct this same review, but also make it more compelling and ensure that it follows APA style and targets an advanced reader. And we're also going to ask for the output in Markdown format. And so we're using the same text from the original review up here. So let's execute this. And here we have an expanded APA-style review of the soft panda. So this is it for the transforming video. Next up, we have expanding, where we'll take a shorter prompt and kind of generate a longer, more free-form response from a language model.
Okay, so that'll be all for this video. Take care. Bye-bye.